Hello, I think I'm gonna share a little bit about some notes that I've been taking on looking at Sydonic Cycles, which is in astrology. It's when planets are in alignment with the sun, and most of it's done, if not all of it. I've only found one thing on it, and so right away, let me just say, I came across a website by the gentleman of Nick Anthony Florensa, and this is where I got a lot of information from, and I wrote it down. Some of the stuff that I thought was interesting, what I was seeing in, some of it relates to my own life, but I think I'm going to try to keep this as general as possible. So, with the Sydonic, okay, the other thing, and I may be pronouncing it wrong, the other thing is this is all based on sidereal time, and has to do with stars also and different things like that. This website I came across talked about the Sydonic cycles on the Saturn and Pluto, which is very plutonium, very Saturnian. Um, I'm just trying to kind of learn. I like learning a lot of different things when it comes to astrology. So let's see, it says here that Sydonic cycles main themes that stick out over time, and the I started off with the 1915 one. Of course, you can go way further back, and that was a new synod with Saturn and Pluto, and it talked about coming out of hiding, making visible what's been hiding. May indicate physical unfolding to participate in the world, be willing to walk through the shadows of self, to claim our power and place in the physical world. The more we express the truth of who we are openly in the world, the less forces attempting to suppress that truth have any power. And then in 1947, we had another new one for Saturn and Pluto. A multifarious source of destruction, global scene, and world powers. Pursuit for a greater vision beyond the accepted political and religious dogmas of humans that keep us in darkness and delusion, and against the global forces perpetrating that dogma rule. Emergence from the collective and personal belief structures and our limiting powers or patterns. For example, are patterns that keep us bound in life scenarios that no longer serve us and that we don't truly desire. Do not be naive to the powerful momentum of our beliefs and the undermining behavioral patterns that can create, or they can create. Breakthroughs from dogmas and human delusions seem to be the main theme during that time. The next new synod, and like I said, I could be pronouncing these wrong. This is Saturn and Pluto in 1982. This one really resonated with me a lot. This was the same year, or this is at the end of the year, 92, December 24th. And in 1983 was when I chose a religion to follow. I think I was 9 years old. 9.5 is what I would have been. My birthday happens to be in December. So I was 9.5, and I decided to get on a bus to go check out some churches, and that was the start of mine. So, hidden truth about the balance between the feminine and masculine energies and the political and religious roles in this obscuring of truth, both deliberately and not deliberately. Loss of awareness of the true nature of the birth and lineage of souls. Intimate support with sex and sexuality. There was a lot of sexual suppression, denial, putting on of guilt and shame and wrongfulness of sexuality and intimacy. Mental, emotional, and physical well-being was, something that would be good to, of course, relate to. harmonious in our environment. You know, it was an encouragement to be harmonious in our environment and relationships and with the earth. And I do recall somebody talking recently that the harmonic convergence also happened in the 80s. I want to say it was 87, but please do not quote me on that. Original purity and innocence of soul's intent and purpose prior to incursions taken on during the reincarnating process. So I was thinking of the new birth and consciousness. It talks about that, and I kind of related those two together. Address issues of imbalance and disharmony between the male and female principle, and ourselves and environment, our relation to the earth, again, there. Dismantling and destruction of long standing established political and religious constructs and systems of belief that are imbalanced. And then, of course, our next new synod for Saturn and Pluto will be January 10th of 2020. And I don't know a whole lot about that one. I do know it's going to take place in Sagittarius, in that it's going to be in between Pluto's south node and Saturn's south node. So I wanted to talk about this because I have not come across anybody talking about this. And when I saw that article, I thought it was really interesting, and it was by accident. I was reading an article on the Mercury retrogrades, and the word Sydonic cycle came up, and I'm like, okay, I gotta look that up. So I looked up Sydonic, and it mentioned what it was about, and of course, within the search engine, I seen the link to one about Pluto and Saturn, and because they mean so much to me in my chart, I wanted to look at it. And I found a lot of really interesting stuff, not just that, but other stuff within the website. And it's just neat seeing how different cycles can show different unfoldings and stuff like that. Like the one in the 80s happened to be set in Libra. And the guy was saying it was under the dress, stuff that we try to hide under there. And there were a lot of sexual scandals and different weird, crazy stuff in the 80s. So, not surprised there. And then I do want to talk about some of the other cycles too at some point. I plan on doing that. One of the other ones I found out about was like this retrograde with Mercury. What were we doing 19 years ago? Myself, I was very pregnant physically with a child. This year I feel very pregnant with something else, and I'm really hoping for a new birthing. I think that would be great. It's been in the works. I'm seeing it for myself in many different ways, but I'm open to allowing life to unfold and not getting too attached to what might be the outcome. Jupiter cycles that last every 12 years. I'm actually in my 12th year where new cycle is beginning this year, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I don't know much about the Venus cycles other than I did hear that there are yearly Venus cycles. And the reason why I want to check that out is because the school that I'm getting ready to start in astrology, the way they describe Mercury and Venus is a little different than what I've heard in the past. And so I want to do a little more study there. And that is Mercury is the mind and Venus is our emotions. I've studied Vedic astrology as well. And, the moon is the mind in Vedic astrology. And the ascendant is us. Don't look at the sun as much. Aspects and everything else are really different. But yeah, I think that'll wrap it up. I mean, we're going on 10 minutes here, so I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Bye.